all the lights are on them. I mean, it's like broad daylight on this man. How can you miss something like that?
She says King was not resisting arrest during the baton blows. He was fighting for his life.
He would get hit here, and he would roll that way to get away from that, and then they would kick him over there. You know, after this whole thing was over, I was just numb. I was just thinking, my God, how could they, you know, do this so blatantly out in public? They have people across the street yelling at them to stop, and they're still, you know, seemingly trying to kill this man.
So she made her notes.
If nothing else, I said, I'm going to go to my council person.
Eventually, she says she talked with investigators and the DA about testifying. But she was never called to the stand. In fact, the only resident of the apartment complex to take the stand was George Holiday, who shot the video. She thinks she didn't testify because what she had to say would contradict the prosecution's star witness, CHP officer Melanie Singer, who testified that King did resist arrest at first.
To put Melanie Singer up there and say, yes, this man resisted arrest, for the prosecution to let that lie just go on and let the defense build their defense on that, that was outrageous. How can the people be mad at the jury? How can the people be mad at 12 white jurors when that's all the facts they were given in the case? As that letter points out later that I wrote to Terry White, I told him, you know, if I had seen King do what those officers say that he did, I would have condoned the whole thing. I would have even condoned if they had shot him on the spot.
Well, we tried to speak with the DA's office about why this particular witness was never called to the stand. We haven't gotten an answer yet, although you heard Alan Yokelson tell Dave Bryan and Barbara Schroeder on the air this morning that they have no regrets about the way they presented their case. Right now I am at what has now become just another patio behind an office building in Beverly Hills. This was the scene where a short while ago Rodne King spoke to the media. And even though this was an impromptu last-minute news conference, people began to find out about it and began to trickle down. And we're going to show you some video right now. People who work in the office buildings in the neighborhood, who live here, they all wanted to make it down here to see what Rodne had to say. Now, this is raw videotape, unedited videotape. It's the sort of thing you've seen in the last few days. A lot of times it's not as nice and cleaned up as we like to make it. There are plenty of police officers here just for security, just in case there was trouble. But we spoke with some folks, and again, these interviews are raw and unedited, and you're going to hear them. I may ask a lot of the same questions because I wanted to see what their emotions were, and they were pretty universal, you're going to find out. But they came from all over. They just wanted to hear what Rodne King had to say. They felt this was a historic moment, and they wanted to be a part of it, and so they came down here to listen in. What do you expect him to say? What would you like him to say?
I'd like him to say things that will stop some of this that's going on right now.
You're next. Okay. Why come down here?
Well, I happen to work in the building, so, you know, I just happened to, I want to come out and see what he has to say.
What do you expect him to say? What would you like him to say?
I'd like to help him direct some of these people to stop using violence. There's other ways of showing or expressing your feelings by picketing or whatever, but they don't need to do all this violence.
What do you think this has been like for him? He's apparently very nervous about coming out here today.
Oh, I think he feels bad. He doesn't want to see all this happen. I'm sure he didn't expect or feel that it was going to happen.
Unless you guys really want to. All right. Well, let's ask you a question. Why did you come down? Do you want to see him? Why did you come down here?
Well, actually, I don't really know what's going to happen here with Rodne King, but I hope that this violence will stop. You know, that everything is wrong. You know, people, they don't know what to do. And, you know, we need, peace. And we don't need this stuff.
You hope he'll be able to help stop this?
I sure hope so.
Thanks. All that kind of stuff. We'll start here. Me? Get ready. Wait a minute. I might have. Thank you. Well, I'm certainly interested in what Mr. King has to say. You know, we all are feeling horrible and we're freaked out and scared to go to work, and this is history here, you know. So I've left the work and I figured to watch and see what he has to say. Well, I'm just concerned about the they're illegal and taking advantage of a situation that's a very traumatic situation.
Do you think he can say something to help stop that, or just, who knows?
I don't know. I don't think the mayor said anything to stop it. I think that, I hope he can. I hope that they'll listen to someone who seemed to be victimized and this whole thing is created by. So I hope so. I'll be interested to see if he can. All right.
I'm talking to you. We're going to go to you next. I'm just getting a different angle here. Why come down here? What do you hope he'll say?
Well, I just hope that he'll say something that can have an impact on the people, and maybe they'll realize that this is wrong and stop. And we're just here because we have a hope that this will be all over.
I'm here because I want to see it's a part of history, in the making, and that I'm pretty close to it. It's kind of amazing to see the type of things that have happened in the city, and I feel that, they're doing this for him. A lot of them are, and I just feel that whatever he would say would hopefully, calm them, and just also to let them know that not everybody feels, black, white, red, yellow, whatever, that some of us still do, support him and are not against what a lot of, other people and other races think that what we believe. So.
Thanks a lot. Shut up everybody's nose.
Oh, wonderful.
Why'd you come down here?
It's one of the first experience I come across. Just wanted to be part of it and see what's happening here.
What do you hope he'll say? What do you think he'll say?
It's going to the community to stay cool and calm.
Just a sample of some of the sound bites we got from people who were talking, and then Rodne King came out and they all strained to see him, but they couldn't see him. They couldn't hear him, many of them. It became such a mob around him, and you could see by Rodne King's face exactly how he felt about being here with me now. Dave Bryant's going to step in real quickly, and I think the question on everybody's mind is what kind of witness would he have been if he were on the stand? What do you think?
Well, that was certainly the question that was posed to Steve Lerman, and I think Lerman came about as close as he has to criticizing the prosecution today for not having called Rodne King. He said that I tried everything I could to get Rodne King to be used as a witness, and the question, of course, is he seemed nervous, he seemed almost humble, scared. Would the jury think this was a monster?
We're going to have to, I'm sorry, Dave, we're going to have to wrap it up. We're going to toss it back to you, Chris and Patty, in the studio.
Dave, Jane, thank you. We will be talking to you later on. Right now on the phone, we have Jerry Yu, the executive director of the Korean American Coalition. And Mr. Yu and his group are the people who organized something we showed you video of from the helicopter of a little while ago, a demonstration of peace, perhaps, certainly at far more peaceful than anything we've seen in the last 3 days, and connection with one community talking to another at the corner of Wilshire and Wilton, behind the Wiltern Theater. These are Korean Americans. Mr. Yu, what was the point behind this demonstration, and what are these people in this crowd saying to the motorists going by?
First of all, it really wasn't a demonstration. We called it a rally for peace.
Okay.
And it was just organized by grassroots people, residents in the community. We helped out with it, but we were not the main organizers. The main thing that we wanted to accomplish, though, was just to be visible and get everybody in this community together to say that we want the violence and all these things that are going on to stop. We also wanted to call on the police and law enforcement agencies to come into Koreatown. Up to now, we haven't seen any National Guard personnel or had any police visibility at all, any police presence. So we just wanted to be able to show everybody up in LA what is going on here in Koreatown.
Mr. Yu, would you comment on the significance of the waving of the white scarves or handkerchiefs?
Yeah, everybody was wearing white and had white headbands and so on to demonstrate peace. The color white symbolizes peace in Korea, and so that's what that was about.
We saw even some people in cars taking the handkerchiefs and going along. It was kind of touching to see that. Have you seen that there?
Yeah, I think it's just a sign of support and unity. Really, like some of the statements that were made at the rally was that this is not about just Korean Americans, although it was mainly Korean Americans. But as you might know, the majority of residents in this Koreatown area are Latinos, and we also had some blacks and whites and other people come in and join us in the rally. So that was really a positive sign.
Mr. Yu, more than 100 at last count Korean-owned businesses in the Los Angeles area have been looted and or burned since the trouble began the other day, and there have been suggestions by some of the owners of those shops that they have been targeted by looters and arsonists because they are Koreans.
Well, you know, if you really take in this entire thing, what's happening in the city and county, it's really difficult to assess. You know, it doesn't appear to be any organized effort on the part of anybody. There's no group effort. There are individuals out there, both Koreans or blacks or whoever, the criminals that are committing these acts, that are saying all sorts of things, whether they're targeting Korean stores, or we keep hearing rumors or talks and even flyers about how they're going to attack Koreatown as a region. You know, there's no way to control individuals from speaking out. But we don't believe that this time there's any organized effort, you know, like a racial attack. And we've seen this happening, that everybody, whether the stores are black-owned or it's a big corporation or just small business owners, being attacked and destroyed.
How badly was the Korean American community hit there? Do you have any numbers, or can you give us a perspective of it?
Yeah, this morning we came in and we've been trying to assess the damage, getting reports from different people and organizations. As of this morning, we know of at least 150 Korean-owned stores throughout South Central LA, as well as Koreatown, that would have been looted, set on fire, or destroyed in some way. There's been one security guard that was shot and killed here in Koreatown. There was also one Korean woman that was shot and she's injured at this time. There's the kinds of stores that are being attacked. There's just all kinds, just like everybody else, though, not just Korean Americans, but we've seen liquor and grocery stores, auto parts stores, dry cleaners, swap meet stores, and some people are estimating the damage to run over $50 million as of today. So we really feel like, just like everybody else, we call on everybody to stop the senseless violence.
You say...
We Korean Americans are just as outraged and incensed over the decision about, you know, the 4 officers accused in the beating of Rodne King, and it's incredible that they could be acquitted of all their charges. However, we're also just as outraged, equally as outraged about this violence that's been occurring, especially, you know, after the first day. You know, we don't feel like there's a direct connection between the anger over the decision and all this looting that's going on now.
You say that this was a grassroots sort of, this kind of grew, this rally, this peace rally. What is the Korean American coalition planning in the days ahead to help diffuse the situation?
Yeah, well, the first thing is, people in the community have been communicating. We're just trying to, we are running along, we had meetings with, I guess, most of the major Korean community organizations, including the Grocers Association, the Chamber, and different groups. And we've divided up different tasks for how to deal and cope with the situation. We right now are answering phones and referring people to hotlines for damage, or if they need medical attention or housing because of what's been happening. We're also, right now, there's an effort in Koreatown to deliver food to people who are locked in their homes and they cannot get out to get food and water. We're also looking into ways to assist people in applying for assistance for damage to their property or their homes, as far as applying for loans and so on. So in the next few days, this is what we're going to be working on. We just hope that this violence and this activity be quelled and stopped. One other thing I'd like to mention is that we, along with other organizations, are organizing for another rally tomorrow. We're having a rally tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. at the Ardmore Park here in Koreatown. And again, we just want to get together and show visibly that the kind of unity we have in wanting peace and justice for Rodne King's decision as well.
Jerry Yu of the Korean American Coalition, we thank you for your time. Once again, we're looking at the video of this peace meeting, if you would, at the corner of Wilshire and Wilton, behind the Wilton Theater. Thank you, Mr. Yu, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We want to remind you that the president will speak about 6 p.m. our time, and we have other news coming up of the day. We're going to update you later in the day on the condition of Reginald Denny, the man who was dragged
One of the
from
other
his...
images of these events.
Yeah, that will stay with us forever. they're holding a news conference there at Daniel Freeman Memorial Hospital to update us all on his condition, how well he's doing. He was very badly hurt in that intersection of Normandy and Florence.
One of the things the president will be talking about at 6 o'clock, and you'll hear it and see it right here on Fox 11, is his decision to essentially get 2,500 Army troops from Fort Ord near Monterey down into the Los Angeles area, and 1,500 Marines from Camp Pendleton near San Diego up toward the Los Angeles area. All those federal troops will then be standing by. They will be sort of localized in one place, ready to go out into the streets of Los Angeles and other communities here, if indeed all the efforts by LAPD and the CHP, other police agencies, and the Highway Patrol and the National Guard don't seem to work. So those 4,000 federal troops would be ready to move in at a moment's notice, really. That's one of the things that the president is going to be talking about at 6 o'clock. Carrie, of course.
Of course we will. We have more things that we want to tell you about in the way of cancellations here. The Van Halen, the 2 shows of the Van Halen's concerts at the Forum tomorrow and Sunday have been canceled. Van Halen's 2 shows at the Forum tomorrow and Sunday have been canceled. If you're holding tickets to any of those shows, either of those shows, well,
hang on to them.
Hang on to them.
Maybe collector's items.
Because you may be able to use them later. We don't know yet. But at any rate, they're canceled for now.
The Laker playoff game that had been set for tonight has now been rescheduled for the weekend in Las Vegas. We'll have more on that. The Clipper game that had been postponed from last night is going to be held at the Anaheim Convention Center. We'll have more on that coming up as well. We have more video now of some of the daylight effect of what we saw in terms of nighttime last night. We saw the crimson fires last night from the helicopter. This is what's left today.
It's around Santa Monica and Western.
Oh, that's where we were reporting live to you last night in the the fire in the old Bank of America building in Santa Monica and Western, a Hollywood landmark on the east side of Hollywood at any rate. And you're looking at what is left of that building and other buildings in the Santa Monica Boulevard, Western Avenue area.
This video was shot earlier today. The cold light of day puts a different spin on it, doesn't it?
There are those who might argue that a fire at night, when we don't think about the impact on people, perhaps is pretty to watch. Not when it's an entire city block, but in the cold light of day, when we see the gutted shell of a building where people worked, where people had dreams, where people shopped, and where people spent their money and helped the economy of a local neighborhood, and when you see that there's nothing left, then it's a far different reality.
These people are not looters. These people are saving possessions and taking things out of a building that's obviously been burned, their possessions, trying to save what they can.
There have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fires, and most of those have been in small and medium businesses, some large. And as a result, a lot of people have basically been burned out of their business in the past 48 hours. Mayor Bradley has set the wheels in motion now to get federal loans for small businesses. Mr. Bradley has asked the governor to seek a presidential declaration of disaster for LA County and LA City. Now, if the governor approves it, then we have every expectation that he would. The request then, of course, goes on to the White House. And Pat Saiki of the Small Business Administration gives us some insight into how those loans work.
The loans are long-term loans. If there is no private insurance, and I'm afraid we're going to find that situation more often than not under these circumstances, then the loans are made at 4% for a 30-year term. But each case will be reviewed individually. We have economic injury loans, we have loans for those who have lost their homes or have their homes damaged, and we have what we call the blanket natural disaster type loans. But each area has different criteria, and people will have to come in and explain their situations. Hopefully we'll have, through the cooperation of the mayor's office and the governor's office, many people working with us to offer the counseling that's necessary and certainly the assistance to fill those applications. So there are no ceilings that we will have in hunks of money that we are going to be loaning. It's all going to be on an individual basis as to what the needs will be.
Congress recently appropriated $240 million for disaster relief loans, and those are all kinds of disasters, not just specifically for the riots in Los Angeles. But Mayor Bradley says at this point the damage to the buildings and not their contents, just the buildings, estimated to be $500 million. That's a major conflict in numbers. We're going to have to check that out. We've been telling you $200 million in terms of damage, but in any event, it's multi hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to buildings in the Los Angeles area and to the contents. So, but the point is that the wheels are getting moving toward getting those low interest 4% loans for some rebuilding of small businesses.
To get some help. Maybe we could say that today we are getting some more positive pictures and views of what's been happening, and we want to show you some of those pictures that happened this morning. This is at 54th and Normandy, and these people are going through their own neighborhood, cleaning it up.
Pushing a dumpster along. We've seen some dumpsters out in the middle of streets set on fire the last couple of days. These people are using a dumpster in its original purpose to collect trash. Interestingly, this is at 54th and Normandy working their way north. We might want to keep in mind that almost 48 hours ago, at Florence and Normandy, just about a mile south of the video that we're seeing right now, is where all this began, when a mob started pulling motorists out of their cars and trucks and beating them. That's where the looting started, was at Florence and Normandy, about a mile south of where the people, obviously from the same neighborhood, are now cleaning up after the looters, cleaning up after the arsonists, and claiming the neighborhood back.
This is ours, and we are going to take charge of it. It's kind of what they're saying. It's nice to see. It's one of the good stories that we like to report.
The signs we've had in the last 24 hours or so are the Hispanic gentleman who pulled machetes to protect LA City firefighters from some looters and some people who did not intend to treat the firefighters well. Well, these Hispanic people pulled machetes to protect the firefighters. That's the kind of image we're seeing. The image of the people, Patty, very late last night with buckets and dish
pans, anything that would hold
throwing water on one of the fires. This is the Pico Union area. As the city got past the initial shock of what began Wednesday afternoon and started getting into these kinds of pictures. And
young men talking about going into those apartment buildings and getting the people out of there, getting the families, they said mothers and young children out of there.
We might add that as a part of an appeal for some, from Edward James Olmos, the actor, for some donations, a hardware firm, and I'm trying to find my note on that has the name of the firm, because these people deserve a plug. This hardware firm,
A.A. Baker's Hardware.
They are donating some brooms and shovels and garbage bags, plastic bags, everything.
Trash bags, shovel, anything to help clean it up.
There you go, the A.A. Baker Hardware Company.
And these things can be picked up, by the way. They will be picked up and distributed by the Salvation Army. So if you need such equipment to help with your cleanup, you might contact the Salvation Army. Yes, it's good to give that name, A.A. Baker's Hardware.
However, the list of closures and postponements and cancellations is a long one. Let's start it again. Canceled all Red Cross blood collection in Los Angeles. It's not that there is any problem with the Red Cross people, just don't want people driving to the collection areas. There's enough blood, so let's not worry about that.
Of course, this is Friday, but we are assuming that these schools are closed throughout the weekend as well. If not, we'll let you know later. Los Angeles Unified Schools closed. Long Beach, Beverly Hills, Compton, Torrance, and Linwood schools all closed. Catholic Archdiocese is closing schools in South Central. Pasadena's Fuller Theological Seminary is closed through the weekend. Woodcrest Nazarene on South Normandy. As far as colleges are concerned, USC finals, if you had anything scheduled over the weekend, you will not be having that final.
You're not going to escape them, though. They will be rescheduled.
They'll be back. You can't get away. UCLA campus is closed down except for essential services. Loyola's downtown law school is closed. Cal State Whittier, Cal State Northridge, Santa Monica College, Glendale Community College, Mount St. Mary's Doheny and Chelan campuses, Pepperdine's corporate point in Culver City.
Court systems have had a major impact on them as well. The LA Superior Court system has been closed today. The LA Muni Court system closed as well. The county criminal courts have been closed. As far as we know, the federal court system, however, remained during normal operations today. The LA Main Library and 24 branches closed today. Those 10 post offices in the troubled zone that we've been telling you about for the last couple of days were closed except for those people coming to pick up Social Security checks and county checks. And by the way, those post offices will be open until 4:30 this afternoon for you to pick up those checks. But don't forget your ID. Without that ID, you can't pick up your check, and you'll have spent a long time standing in line only to find out that you can't get it without ID. Those same post offices will be open for you to come to them between 8 and noon tomorrow. 4 DMV offices remain closed: Compton, Hawthorne, Inglewood, and downtown LA. We might add that the DMV office in Long Beach was burned down early this morning, so obviously that one's closed.
Very close. The Music Center and Doodle Theater are canceling their performances. Dodgers, Lakers, well, we have new information on that we might as well give to you right now. The playoff game with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Lakers is being moved from Los Angeles to Las Vegas at 12:30 p.m. Sunday. That's when that will be, 12:30 p.m. Sunday, the Lakers Trail Blazers playoff game. And the Clippers game with the Utah Jazz has been reset for Anaheim Convention Center at 3 p.m. Sunday. And all races at Hollywood Park are closed.
And if perchance you were planning to go up to San Francisco this afternoon to take in the Giants-Phillies game at Candlestick, that game has been postponed because of the state of emergency declared by Frank Jordan, the new mayor up there. Right now on the phone we have Major Georgia Jobish of the Marine Corps. Major, I understand you're at El Toro, is that right?
Yes.
I'm a little confused, I must tell you, Major. I don't know whether you're from the Marines, part of the units being called up from Camp Pendleton by the President, or whether you're with the California National Guard.
I'm with neither one.
Oh. You're a major in what, Major?
Well, I'm working here at the Public Affairs Office. I'm a reservist that has been on active duty for 2 weeks doing some what we call reserve counterpart training.
It's my understanding that you can speak to us about the National Guard and the deployment of the troops.
Well, not the National Guard, actually. The only deployment of troops that we're working with right now are the Marines and the 7th Infantry Division Light from Fort Ord, California.
What is the status of the 1,500 Marines that the President called up from Camp Pendleton, for that matter, the 2,500 GIs from Fort Ord?
Well, the 1,300 Marines coming from Camp Pendleton are on their way to Tustin, where they'll be staged to wait for orders if they come ever from the President. And then the 2,500 soldiers from the 7th Infantry Division Light from Fort Ord will be here at El Toro, and they're on their way in right now.
Any idea of arrival time on those GIs from Fort Ord?
Last arrival time we heard was 4 o'clock.
Are they coming down by vehicle or flown down or both?
They're flying in on C-141 aircraft. There should be 6 aircraft come in.
What about their transportation, trucks, Jeeps, Humvees, and the other, support equipment that they need?
Well, I don't know. I don't have any information on that right now.
Okay. And the 1,500 Marines have come to Tustin already, or they are in the process of getting there?
They're in the process, sir.
Okay. So basically we will have, by later this afternoon or early this evening, presumably, Major, have all 4,000 federal troops, the Marines and the Army, in place roughly in Southern California in case the President decides they're needed.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Major,
that's right.
thank you, Major Georgia Jobish of the Marine Reserves, who's at the Public Affairs Office at El Toro at the Marine Corps Air Station there. Thank you very much, Major. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bush, the President, will be on our air and everybody else's live at 6 o'clock tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 our time, to talk about the call-up and the deployment of these 4,000 federal troops, Marines, and Army people. The Marines will be at the Tustin Air Station, and the 2,500 soldiers from Fort Ord will be at El Toro.
We're hearing from all stations and all walks of life and all kinds of people. Pope John Paul II is offering prayers for what he calls the restoration of civil harmony in Los Angeles.
We, Patty,
some pictures
unfortunately
just
don't
in, I
have
understand.
complete restoration of harmony. We've got some new video just in of additional looting. Do we have that video at this point?
There it is.
Apparently have some arrests for looting. And
find out where this is.
LAPD using those plastic handcuffs that they're issued. All right, this is Santa Monica and western area, the Sears complex area that has been hard hit by looters in the last couple of days. Those plastic handcuffs that the authorities are using are simply because they can't carry enough of the metal handcuffs, and they work very well for people who.
We just have these pictures just into the station, and we have not seen them either. We're going to have an interview here coming up in a moment. Evidently, a lot of arrests here.
This is in the parking lot at the Sears store at Santa Monica and Western, an area that has been since about this same time yesterday afternoon very hard hit by looters. The looting went all the way over to the La Brea, La Cienega part of West Hollywood. This is the east side of Hollywood, of course.
We would not have seen this yesterday. This is how different today is from yesterday.
Now, the videos we saw yesterday of looting, the looters would move in, do their best to get as much out of a store as they could. Police would move in, the looters would run, the police would go somewhere else, and the looters would come back. And now the police are cracking down. Here's the lieutenant.
Tom Mosdell, M-O-S-D-L-L-D. Right now what we got was a call from some of our units that were stationed on Santa Monica Boulevard, which is the front side of Sears, and they were told by citizens about looting going on here in the back of Sears. And so we responded, the extra officers we have out here in Hollywood, and we arrested these. What kind of things were being taken? Clothing items, mostly Levi's, shoes, and we caught the majority of them inside the store.
Is this the youngest looter this hour?
What's that? 1-year-old was across the street with the parents, or a friend. Now they're going to go to a relative.
There you see
Evidently some of the loot.
The lieutenant saying that most of those people that we saw with handcuffs on were arrested inside the Sears store in Hollywood at Santa Monica and Western, trying to take clothing and shoes, and they were arrested inside.
It's a good message. Nobody's going to get away with that today. We want to go to the post. This is how the post office at Broadway in Manchester looked a little earlier today. People lining up to get their Social Security checks, their county checks. The post office will now be open for another 40 minutes or so. They extended the hours because people were, look at the line, you can see how long it is.
This is in the area where there are 10 post offices closed because of the violence and so on. Some of them have been damaged. And just simply to get out the Social Security checks and the county checks, they opened up for people to come get those checks.
And they will be open. Chris Blacksford is there now on the ground. Chris, we understand they will be open also from 8 till noon tomorrow.
The word right now, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the crowd that they have here now, they stay open this service, although we haven't heard that. If they could even finish this group in 40 minutes. I mean, I think I don't have a monitor, but I think you just showed the tape from this morning, and you can see for 300 yards, people lined up. They tell us later in the afternoon there must have been more than 1,000 people lined up here today. It started at 6 o'clock this morning, and now I would say there's probably only 200 people left here, and really, they averted any violence, or they pulled a lot of LAPD troops out of here. Around noonish today, it looked like this could spark into something. A lot of frustrated people waiting in lines. LAPD came in with a couple busloads of people, and at first it looked like there might be trouble, but they set up lines, they organized the lines, they talked to the people, everyone calmed down. Here within the last hour, even a big Sparklets truck showed up and passed out water to these people. Many of them have been waiting 4, 5, and 6 hours. A Pepsi truck came by and gave free Pepsi to the people here. And really, again, this is testimony to something that could have been bad and was averted today. And as I said earlier in a broadcast, it was very clear here throughout the day. I mean, we spent probably, 7 hours down here throughout the day, that the police were trying very hard, and the people here trying very hard to stop something from erupting here. And it looks at this point like they have done it. Yes.
Do you have any more information as we watch this and break in, if you need to explain what's going on here? But do you have any more information for those people who are getting their checks and are having trouble cashing them? Do we know anything more about that? We're having trouble finding anything on that here.
No, I don't. I mean, the people as they leave here, they have that story. They don't know where to cash it, and they're not coming back here. I don't know where they're going with the checks, to tell you the truth, but I know it's a dilemma that's been facing these people all day long. Once they get the check, where to cash it. I heard one woman saying that her aunt drove all the way to Torrance or something to cash the check and did. And I guess that's what people are going to have to do now is drive out of this area in order to cash it and to shop.
It's going to take all their ingenuity just to do the daily chores.
Catch-22 that we have got, specifically these people needing to cash Social Security checks or county checks, and they're left, the banks in the area are not open. Some of them have been damaged and burned, and certainly others are not open and won't be perhaps until... This is